Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about He's All That. He's All That is a teen romantic comedy that serves as a gender-swapped remake of 1999's She's All That, and essentially tells the same story as that movie, with a modern coat of paint and a few new twists. TikTok influencer Paget Sawyer seems to have it made. She has a large following on her social media profiles, and seems to be happy with everything that's going on in her life. That is until she walks in on her boyfriend cheating on her, resulting in the two breaking up with each other. To get over the breakup, Paget accepts a bet from her friends to take the biggest loser in the whole school she goes to, who they decide is Cameron Queller, and transform him into a hunk much like his ex-boyfriend is. And as you can imagine from this scenario, this results in the two spending a lot of time with each other, going through a variety of comedic scenarios, and eventually falling in love. Anyone going into this thinking that they were going to watch a faithful remake of a movie that they grew up and loved watching in the 1990s will be severely disappointed when they watch this movie. It's all just a bunch of Generation Z BS that's peddled by some of the lamest characters you'll ever see committed to film. First of all, I think it's hilariously fitting that they got an actual TikToker, Addison Rae, to play the lead role of Paget Sawyer. And before I continue talking about her character further, I just want to stress that contrary to what most reviews are saying at this time, I don't think her acting is all that bad. She's definitely not going to be winning Oscars or anything like that, don't get me wrong, but for the type of character and the type of movie that she's working with, I think she did an okay job as far as her acting goes. The way her character is written, however, is a totally different story. There were a lot of inconsistencies to her character. She claims to be doing well in school, but we never see her looking at report cards or attending classes or anything like that. It's also implied that she has a lot of friends based on her social media presence, but we only ever see her hanging out with two people, one of whom ends up stabbing her in the back. It also felt like the filmmakers couldn't decide if they wanted her character to be rich or poor. In one scene, she contributes to her single-parent family income by paying a $3,000 water bill for her mother or something like that, and then a couple scenes later down the road, she ends up panicking and wondering whether or not she's going to be able to afford to go to New York. Beyond the inconsistencies though, her character just didn't do it for me. I've never used TikTok before, and I probably never will, so there might be a generational gap in that sense, but her unhealthy obsession with social media and how she's always interrupting good moments by doing live streams and taking photos to increase her following made it extremely difficult for me to like her as a character. Cameron Queller, who's played by Tanner Buchanan, is a little bit better as a character compared to Paget Sawyer, but not by a whole lot. Instead of being obnoxious and confusing like her, he mostly comes off as bland and kind of boring. He's sort of an old soul in that he loves to take photographs and listen to classic rock music and has a bit of an anti-establishment attitude towards him, but the filmmakers only examine these things at surface level, so we never get a chance to fully dive into those aspects to his character and understand why he is the way he is. The movie does attempt to add some depth to his character by exploring his family history a little bit, but it's so half-assed. His mother is dead from cancer, his father lives all the way in Sweden for some reason, and both Cam and his sister are living with their grandma who looks like she's gonna die any second now. Once again, these important details are completely glossed over, which only further added to the confusion as the movie went along. The biggest problem that I have with Cam as a character though, is that he's already physically attractive by the time he's introduced on screen. The only things that kind of look iffy about him are the fact that he wears a beanie and has long hair, and both of those issues are solved in less than a minute. This pales in comparison to the complete 180 transformation that Rachel Lee Cook's character Lainey Boggs went through in the first movie. She had to get her eyebrows plucked, she had to replace her glasses with contact lenses, had to get makeup put on and revamp her wardrobe. There were just a lot more things added to her character that made her transformation a lot more memorable, things that are sadly lacking in this movie. Due to the amount of problems both characters have based on how they're written, as well as the evident lack of chemistry between the two leads, the romance just doesn't work, but the main characters are the least of this movie's problems. Paget's ex-boyfriend Jordan is chauvinistic to a stereotypical degree. He always feels the need to be shirtless in every scene he's in, and it adds nothing to his character. The girl that he cheats on Paget with disappears after like 2 scenes, so there's no recourse for that particular scenario, and he is a total creep to an underage character about halfway through the movie. I didn't understand at all what the filmmakers were thinking with his character. There's a lot of needless drama that's spread throughout this movie's plot, a lot of it instigated by Paget's friend Alden, and I swear to God, she is the most toxic character I've ever seen in a movie, period. I don't even know why either, because her character doesn't start off that way. She was pretty good-natured and lighthearted about the bet that she makes with Paget at the beginning of the movie, but for some reason her character does a total transformation over the course of the story, and it makes no sense as to why she's so vindictive. Cam's sister Bryn is also a bit of a weird character, though probably the least weird of the bunch. She mostly exists to give advice to Cam about girls in the same way that Anna Paquin's character did to Zack Seiler in the previous movie, but Cam never really takes his sister's advice, so it makes me wonder why those scenes are there to begin with. And when you get past all the lame characters and try to focus purely on the romance that's supposed to be happening in this movie, a lot of it just simply amounts to run-of-the-mill walk and talks. Paget and Cam never do anything that could be considered a typical date. They either go on walks or they go to parties. That's it. Boring. Seriously, we needed a lot more than what we got. The two lead characters in the previous movie did a lot more by comparison. They went to a theater show together, they played beach volleyball together, they went to each other's houses more often and saw each other at school more often. There was just a lot more going on between the two in the previous movie that made the romance a lot more believable than the pure fakeness we got in this one. And this is all before getting into the comedy side of things, and after all, this movie is supposed to be a romantic comedy. If I haven't emphasized it enough at this point, then let me do so here. This movie is not funny. Much of the jokes featured in this movie are borderline infantile. One scene involves Paget finishing horse riding lessons at the stables where Cam works, and she goes to school later that day complaining that her butt is sore, heavily emphasizing and hinting at the idea that she had sex with Cam at the stables. And when Cam's friend inquires about this, Cam proceeds to say, "Oh, it's no big deal, I just gave her riding lessons." Aside from the immature humor, there's a lot of filler scenes throughout this movie too that are just plain weird in their presentation, especially the dance battle that occurs in the prom party at the end of the movie. Now, I do understand why the dance scene is there. It's paying homage to the dance scene that also occurred at the end of She's All That. However, in that movie, the dancing choreography is much more realistic, and so it actually looks like high schoolers dancing around and having a good time with each other. In this movie, however, it's clear right from the get-go that there were professionals involved in the making of that scene, which makes it look a lot more fake in comparison to the original and thus less natural. And I just remembered all the product placement that's featured in this movie. Oh my god, is it ever out of control? KFC, Pizza Hut, Voss Water, Smart Pop Popcorn, TikTok, 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 TikTok. I mean, seriously guys, are you that strapped for cash? Are you that under budget for your movie that you need help from at least a dozen other companies in order to complete it? The only redeeming factor this movie has going for it is the fact that it features two of the original movie stars, Rachel Lee Cook and Matthew Lillard, both of whom are playing completely different characters from their original counterparts. Neither of their characters add or do anything significant whatsoever to this movie's story, so pretty much the only reason why the actors are featured in this movie are to serve as nostalgia bait to sucker in fans of the original to watching this trash. Also, the Kourtney Kardashian cameo, what the hell was up with that one? Overall, He's All That is a soulless rehash that pales in comparison to the original movie it's supposed to be based on. If you're a fan of the original movie and you were looking forward to seeing this one, I strongly urge you to reconsider. It's basically a 90-minute TikTok commercial complete with whiny, toxic teenagers that very few people can relate to, if any. It's not just the fact that this movie is horrible, which it is, but it also teaches a bad message to its target audience regarding fame and obsession with social media, and combined with the already vapid characters and the story within this movie, it all adds up to one big steaming pile of cinematic crap. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of He's All That. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the supernatural comedy Afterlife of the Party. Bye-bye.